You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. Only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real is Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
There was also always something about my hair. They were constantly making comments and harassing me about my hair. Now, according to reports, multiple people have complained to the show's executive producer, often shot down pictures involving African Americans and berated producers who wanted to book non-white experts. Not only this, folks, the overarching issues of the toxic workplace at CBS. Now, the EP says, I am devastated by these unfounded and shocking allegations. I stay by my character and know the truth that I have been a champion for diverse talent and inclusive stories throughout my entire career. While it is impossible to prove that I did not do something, I can absolutely say these hurtful lies are not true. Rachael Ross says her contract was not renewed and that she was iced out after she met with CBS about the alleged toxic environment. She joins us right now. Doc, how you doing?
Hey, good. How about yourself, Roland?
I'm doing good. What has it been like for you since you publicly talked about your experience at the doctors? This, of course, comes in the wake of the reports we're dealing with WCBS and their owned and operated stations, and we at NABJ called for the firing of Peter Dunn and David Friend. That's on the CBS O&O. But we've gotten phone calls from people saying that this is across all CBS. It's CBS Radio, it's CBS News, it's CBS Syndication, it's CBS NewsPath, it's CBS O&Os. It is entire corporate culture. What has it been like for you since you talked about this publicly?
Well, you know, it's been interesting because when I went forward, the reporter called me and I gave my take on it. I recognized that this is something that all of us deal with, whether you work for a small business in your town, whether you're working for CBS, and I'm sure even you, Roland, have had situations like this where we're in these positions where, you know, there's somebody that's kind of harassing us, doing microaggressions, and really you kind of grin and bear it because you just have to be happy to be there. So for me personally, being able to talk about it has been like this huge weight lifted off of me because, you know, we're Black folks, and part of this is embarrassing. You know, it's embarrassing that you succumb to the abuses that you do when you go to these things. Everybody thought it was such a great thing for me to be on the show and was wondering what happened. So it was really kind of like this massive weight of bricks coming off of me to actually share some of the experiences, and the article just really touched on the surface of it. I mean, when we say it's toxic, I mean, it was beyond toxic. And, you know, Dr. Ian is there now, and God bless him, because I can't imagine that things are any better for him either.
You know, one of the things you said it best, folks that get excited when they see us in these positions, not realizing what happens behind closed doors, not realizing the kind of comments that are made about us when we're in the room, but most importantly, when we're not in the room as well. And one of the things that we have said to George Cheeks, who is the brother who's over now all of CBS, you've got to examine your entire culture. And if it's here, and here, and then you hear it's here, then you hear it's here. This is not isolated.
No, and if you think about how many lives are ruined and how many careers are offset and how much stress is created and how much chronic disease that results from just the stress that these toxic situations sit with us, it's just absolutely not fair. And so I'm glad that organizations exist that really fight for us and put the things out there, because for me, it's like, I don't want the next generation to have to go through that. I don't want, like, if my daughters decide they want to be on television, for them to have to sit and worry and get that feeling when you're walking onto the set, like, what are they going to mess with me about today? What's going to be the thing? Am I going to be selling shoes today, or am I going to actually be able to talk about being a doctor? So I know you've had some of your own media experiences, and I would venture to say if you got all of us, all the Black people who are actually going to be honest and tell the truth instead of acting like everything's great so that we can get the next job, that if you put us all in a room, that each and every one of us could go through and highlight at least 10 things that have happened that have been ridiculously racist and that we've sat through and acted like it didn't even happen. So I love to have the opportunity to share on a platform like yourself. I'm very selective about who I'm doing any interviews with because, you know, in this environment, you never know which direction they're coming from for you. So I appreciate the opportunity.
The thing that also is sort of it sort of pisses me off. This person, Dominique Johnson, puts on YouTube, get your own show. Stop trying to be up these white folks' ass. First of all, Dominique, do you work at a Black-owned company? Where you work? See, I love the people who always are quick to say, get your own, which is also why I ask, see, here's a perfect example. See, this is why sometimes you should be real careful when you say something. So this person, Dominique Johnson, says, get your own show. So then I asked Dominic, well, are you a supporter of the Roland Martin Unfiltered Fan Club? He goes, no. Well, Dominic, you part of the damn problem. See, it's real easy to say, get your own show, but if folk like you don't fund us, well, who the hell you think gonna fund us? See, you just don't get your own show for the hell of it. Like, this stuff costs money, equipment, monitors, lights, cameras, connectivity, you name it. And so the reality is, I'm not going to use that argument, always get your own. No, I want us to be treated fairly, whether you have a show at the doctor's, whether I'm independent over here or elsewhere. But part of the problem is, it's a whole bunch of us who talk shit, who then don't turn around and don't support us.
That's right. That's right. No, absolutely. And I think Dominique has to kind of go back and reevaluate that because it's absolutely true. I mean, sure, we can go get a show, but shouldn't we be able to sit on a show with other people, with white people, and be treated just like they are? You know, like, why should the Black doctor be singled out to be treated one way and everybody else treated a different way? That is not fair. That's not how things should be. My ancestors built the country. I mean, so why do I need to feel marginalized in certain situations? It's not fair. And that's why I spoke up. I had the opportunity to go off the record or on the record. And I recognized that there was a lot of weight if you go on the record. If you say, yeah, I'm Dr. Rachael Ross, and this was my experience, that's a big deal. And it was easy for me, because I recognize that by doing that, perhaps we're putting a little pressure on people like CBS to stop the madness and to just treat people with the respect that they should be treated with, and fairly, because I did complain. I mean, I complained when I was in the position. I was like, well, look, I've never been treated like this. I don't even know what to do there. I went to a HBCU for medical school. I practiced medicine in Gary, Indiana. I am in my own little isolated bubble, and then I get here and I'm treated like a second-class citizen. Something about this isn't right. So if I go to CBS and tell them all of the things that I'm experiencing, as well as some of the producers who their stories are 10 times worse than mine are undergoing, and they do nothing about it, that is a problem. So I'm glad that we're holding them to the fire. They've put an African-American over CBS now, to try to iron some of these kinks out. But I think that they have a problem that runs way deeper than any of us can ever know or realize.
Well, what is happening and what's running deeply is whiteness. It's whiteness. See, again, earlier today, Annie Apple, her son Eli Apple plays in the NFL, and she was remarking about she said, these sports journalists sure doing a whole lot protecting whiteness. And I said, Annie, that's because most of the sports editors and the radio talk show host, I said, and the columnist, I said, there's more racism in the press box than there is on the field.
Oh.
I mean, that's just the reality. The media industry is largely run by white men. It is.
That's right.
And, and I'm talking about not just white men in the executive suite. I'm talking about white men on the network level. on the O&O level, the syndication level, when it comes to agents, when it comes to the business managers, when it comes to the... See, we can go down the whole line. And so, I mean, every time Hollywood holler liberal Hollywood, I'm like, no, don't holler liberal Hollywood, because there's a whole bunch of racist liberals in Hollywood because they also shut black people out. And so we got to call it what it is and not dance around it, because folk think if you write a check to the UNCF, NAACP, you good. Not if you keeping black people from being able to be empowered themselves and being able to grow and thrive.
No, that's awesome. That's right. Now, I'm going to leave you with this funny story. So I had just started on The Doctors, and I was under the impression that, hey, you know, I'm relatable. I'm on here. I can handle sex topics. I can handle the health topics. So I am in. This is great. And so as a pep talk before I went out, the executive producer goes, and he's like, you get out there and you be like, I represent the African Americans. Just be it. Be sassy. You represent African Americans. And I just remember at that point just feeling kind of like, I mean, I know every day I represent African Americans because, you know, that's who I am. But for him to sit and tell me this, that was kind of the beginning of it, where I really recognized, I was like, oh, I'm the black girl on the show. Okay, well, you know, let me see what that's going to be like. So it is time. Time is up. You know, we were using that mantra for a really long time. Time's up. Time's up for us to have to play in the back and to pretend like everything's okay when it's not. I'm actually embarrassed that I sat there for so long and endured some of the stuff that I went through. But hey, it is a learning experience. And I'm hoping that by doing interviews like yours and speaking out, that it gives those of us who are sitting and have to go back tomorrow to a toxic work environment, to give you the power to be like, you know what, I'm not doing that anymore. And this is why.
Dr. Rachael, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Always a pleasure.
All right. Chat with you soon.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.